Put down the hammer, and pick up the pencil. You're about to listen to the Savvy Radio Show, yeah. Real estate info galore, so listen up, don't miss it. Hosted by the Savvy Landlord, oh.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, friends and family, man, I'm excited. I'm hitting this goal of interviewing 50 of the best people I can reach to, and the best way to reach people is through Facebook. Well, I am, I wouldn't say stalker, or there's a terminology creeper, but folks, I've sinned and I have done that. And the guy that I have creeped on, not too much time, just fascinated by his lifestyle. First, that he has a wonderful car, or used to have a wonderful car. Did you sell it?
I recently sold it about 2 weeks ago.
Okay, we won't tell you what it is. But he sold the hottest car probably every young man, or even old man, or every age man dreams of owning. He has a successful real estate business / domination systems in place. And I was like, well, what the F? What's the worst thing that could happen? I'm going to reach out to this guy and I'm going to say, hey, I want to interview you. He doesn't know me. I've never seen this guy before until 10 minutes ago. And he was gracious to say yes. I thought he was going to say no. He didn't drill me with a bunch of questions like other people. What is this for? What am I going to get? He was genuine and said, okay. And I'm assuming he Googled me up or Facebooked me, because that's what we do in 2017. But please welcome Brett Boone to the radio show.
Here I am. How's it going?
There you are. You got the radio voice. All right. So this is a real estate investor. Are you a real estate investor? Do you have any houses?
I have 4 homes that I rent out right now.
Okay.
We are not where we need to be, but we will get there.
Okay. And your main thrust, so let's just get the cat out of the bag. He is a real estate agent, I think one of the very best.
We were number 6 in units and volume. We were number 6 in the state of Oklahoma across the entire MLS last year. We were number 3 for all Keller Williams offices in Oklahoma. So.
And how long you been doing real estate? And are you a broker or agent?
I'm an agent.
Okay.
I've been in my first year. I was part-time. I was waiting tables and doing real estate in 2008. So since 2008 was when I got my license. So 2009 I was full-time. 2010 is when I started getting some traction.
Was that 9 years?
Yep.
Almost 10?
Almost 10.
All right. So let's get a little history. Where are you? Are you from Oklahoma?
Yeah, I was born in Oklahoma City, just north of Lake Hefner, a little neighborhood called Bluff Creek, and I was raised predominantly in Edmond from elementary school up. So that's where I went to school. Yeah, that was my home most of my life.
Did you college?
No. Story. I dropped out senior year. Wow. High school dropout.
Cool. High school. I didn't even know. I say college. Okay.
Yeah. No, college is not. Never been to college.
So you're kind of a hustler.
Yeah, I was a lot of trouble whenever I was a kid. Started middle school, and school was not my thing. It wasn't. I'd like to go as little as possible. And
but you're teaching classes now.
Yes, I am actually the president of the education committee and create all the curriculum for education for real estate agents at our office.
Surreal. So what was that moment in high school? Why'd you quit?
I liked the truth is I was from the age I was 13, I was an alcoholic and drug addict. By the time I was 13 years old, I was drinking every single day till I was about 24. That's just the real truth.
We got to throw this out there. Grant Cardone, have you followed him at all?
I don't know his story. I watch him. I see him.
Dude,
I've heard.
You actually look like that guy, dude.
That's what people. He's beat. I'm not quite as beat, but
well, you look a lot younger. I don't know how old you are.
33.
Here's the deal. He has a similar story. Keep going. So, okay, alcoholism in your bloodstream. How did you get that out?
So I quit. I've been I quit. I was daily drinking for every single day. Not
since
a day.
You were 13.
Since I was 13, every single day. I was able to buy alcohol before I could drive. Gas stations. I had fake IDs. We had areas, locations, things. We had our little
system in place.
Yes, we had a system in place.
So you apply that system now as a real estate agent.
No, and if you want to get real raw with it, my first job when I was 12 years old, I was mowing lawns in my neighborhood, and I found out that I could make as much money as I wanted to by working these lawn systems. And what it turned into is I found out it was even easier, and I could have other people whenever I took that money and I'd go buy drugs, and then I could sell that. So that was my first job. I was a lawn mowing. Then I found out, hey, I can hustle and I could sell drugs. By the time I was in high school, I was moving some serious amount. I mean, I had a good amount of money on me.
Sure.
and I wasn't working. And so that was,
Why would you?
it served me. And so it also led to a lot of trouble and things of that nature. And I had a pretty serious couple defining moments in my life where I needed to go right or left, and I picked right. So,
Man, I'm just honored that you're just so candid about it.
oh yeah, no, I teach and or I talk about this to a lot of alcoholics, drug addicts, a lot of people who need help with addiction and stuff like that. I speak to a lot. I've been part of programs like that, and so I try to give back to those people, and I'm completely open. It's nothing I'm ashamed of at all. It's part of life, and it's real. And if there's
people struggle with it,
and they hide it and they don't talk about it, and there's help out there, and there's people can. And I literally was physically, chemically dependent upon alcohol and opiates and drugs and cocaine and the whole thing for the majority of my life.
Wow. Man, that's awesome. And now you're trying to give back, I guess. And
it's makeup
you're
time,
like a
right?
preacher.
Yeah.
I mean, you're like getting it out. I feel like call this number 1-800 help me.
Yeah. And you see that stuff whenever you're in it and you're in the mix, and you're seeing all these people who are doing great and all these people who are preaching all this stuff about, being sober and how good life is. And I feel like I'm on the other side of the fence now, and that
you've seen it.
It takes work, and that's what a lot of people don't realize is you don't just snap your fingers and life's better. It takes work, and you got to be ready to put some work in. So.
Sure.
When you can get through that, and you can work yourself out of that, that type of addiction, life's easy after that.
Sure.
Selling houses, there's nothing. House is easy.
All right. So, drop out of high school. Where did you go? I mean, you were hustling aside. I mean, it's cool that you're an entrepreneur. I like that about you already. So then, what happened from there? So flounder around, or
there was a lot of high school. I worked in a garage changing oil. And I was still selling drugs on the side. At this point in time, I've had a couple DUIs. I've had a lot of broken bones, a lot of run-ins with the police. Nothing serious, but never actually served any jail time. And I ended up kind of floating from job to job. And there was a moment where I was at a house party, and I ended up getting in a fight with a security guard. He was technically considered a peace officer, and I put him in the hospital. And I got a felony assault and battery charge. And that was a point where I was looking at maybe having some serious probation or actually serving some time. And at that point, I was like, okay, I got to clean this stuff up. So I cleaned up my act a lot after that, but I was still chemically dependent. I was still an alcoholic. And so that was a big time where I was like, okay, let's stop. Let's not do the serious stuff, where I'm committing crimes and getting behind the wheel and doing stuff. So what I mean by this stuff doesn't just snap a finger. People think you just change overnight. It takes work, and it's slow. And that was a real big moment. I was like, I'm not going to get in trouble anymore, but I'm still an addict.
Still gonna party.
Yeah. So I cut all that stuff out, and the defining moment happened when I started working at a restaurant called Sushi Nico. It's over off 43rd and Western, and I was a waiter there, and that's where I met my wife. Now she was my girlfriend back then, and we started dating, and she was the manager, the GM, and I was the server. And we ended up meeting, and we were together, and through the process, where the big change happened was. These types of addiction cause problems with relationships. And it got to a point where the straw kind of came down. It was like, you're either going to choose me or you're going to go with this addiction. She didn't say that, but that's where the relationship was.
She sounds like an amazing woman.
Oh, yeah. No, she's been through me since day one. And
let me get this straight. You're dating the general manager of the sushi bar,
big no,
which is like the number. If you don't, I have listeners all over the world here, but Sushi Nico is like a staple of like the very first sushi place that was, a respectable place that you should go if you want sushi. There's other little places. And I don't even know if that stigma that negative is still around, because I'm not a sushi guy, but it was the number one place at one time.
It still is. Yeah.
And so you meet this gal, you come to, Bellows.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, that's where
something's going to change. Either you got to change, or how much do you love me?
Big change. I quit cold turkey. I went through full blown withdrawal. Sick, 3 days, puking, throwing up, rolling around in the sheets. Just sweating.
Did you lock yourself up in a room?
Yep.
Did she help you with that?
Yeah. No, lots of water. Sensitivity to light, hallucinations. Throwing up, diarrhea, the whole 9 yards. I mean, alcohol withdrawal. At this point, I had 11 years of drinking every single day just to put me to sleep. And I got to the point where I was drinking a liter of vodka a day. So a whole bottle, a liter of vodka just to go to sleep. And that was normal. And I got it out of my system. And so from there, I quit And about 2 weeks later, I got back on just drinking beer. But my agreement I made with myself was I would just do it on Saturday nights. So that was, so this is
steps.
Yeah, little steps.
Okay.
So what happens is I get into, at this point in time, I get my real estate license, and, I kind of fast forward. I've been sober for over 2 years now. But for the time I was in real estate, what I was doing was I was just drinking on Saturday nights. And the problem where I had a breakthrough in my real estate career was with quitting everything completely and being sober. So I've been sober for
you can define that moment.
2.5 years. But that was the time. There was a moment where I quit the daily drinking, and then there was a moment where I had another really big run-in with my wife, who at the time was my fiance, where I had another run-in with the car that we'll talk about, and a bunch of drugs and a bunch of alcohol. There was another moment where my relationship was going to go right or left, and we can get to that when you'd like.
Cool.
But that's a whole story by itself.
Not cool, but interesting. Okay, so we're back to Sushi Nico, and you're a server.
Yeah.
So we're not in real estate yet.
No.
I mean, you didn't take the test yet.
No.
So and you met this awesome, amazing wife.
Yep.
I can't wait to. I guess I haven't seen her on Facebook. I guess
No.
I don't creep enough.
No.
So I don't know. I didn't know you were married. So that tells you how much I was deep into you. But so how'd you go from there? What was the next turn or the next job?
So, very, very clear what happened here. I was waiting tables, and whenever you're 21, 22, and every time holidays come around, all your friends come back in from college. And at this point in time, they're out of college and they've got jobs, and they're coming back to visit their family. And I'm sitting there handing them a plate of sushi for $50, and they're tipping me.
Yeah.
And I'm
and
like,
you just felt like nobody.
like piece of shit. Yep.
Yeah.
Bad.
No, that's cool. No, you can curse. It's all right. We all curse.
Yeah.
Well, I remember as I was in high school when I had no money and I was at the food line and I was serving the other college kids, my peers, and I just felt like a loser because that was the $4 an hour job I could get.
Yeah.
Similar experience. Okay, so
reality setting in.
So epiphany, or like, I got to do something with my life. So you were 23, 4? How old were you?
22, 23.
Well, you're still ahead of the curve. People don't get right until like 30 now.
Yeah.
So 23rd, you're having these like come into the fruition. Like, where am I going? I got these peers that are looking down on me. Right?
Yeah, it felt like it.
They're paying for $100 tabs and dropping you $10, $20. You need 10 of those tabs to make your $100 to survive.
Just even be equal with them. Just even pay for lunch.
Ooh, good point.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah.
So you got to work 10 tables just so you can have lunch. Wow. I mean, at that level.
At that level. And then my friends are coming in and dropping it like it's nothing. And I'm fighting for lunch, at that same level.
Or you're trying to get, okay. Well, we can get deeper on that, but let's keep on moving. So you had this epiphany.
Yeah.
So then where'd you go from there? How'd you even get turned on to real estate? Is this next?
Yeah, that's what's coming up because it happened at the restaurant. So what happened was I had been approached as a waiter. I was really good at what I did. I mean, I could sell. So
Well, you talk well.
So great, thank you. So what happened was I had been approached by insurance people. I've been approached by car sales, and people just saying, "Hey, you need to
Quit
give this a
job.
shot. Yeah, quit this job. Come
We
work
can make
for me.
way more money."
Yeah, medical sales, all this stuff. The problem was I wasn't ready to receive any message. I wasn't ready to receive. My ears were turned off. And one day I tell people the same thing. I love this quote. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. And the next person, if they would have said, "Hey, you want to come sell some pencils with me?" I'm like, "Give me,
awesome.
Let's go." So what happened was I was ready to receive the message. My ears were open.
And you were just tired.
I was like, I'm going to make something work. I don't know what it is. And I'm waiting on this table. And this is the weirdest story. My wife and I, we were on the market for an English bulldog. Okay. I happened to be waiting on this couple. And they're sitting down, and they are professional English bulldog breeders that are actually on TV. The breeder was there, and the girl who walks them on the stage that you see on the new.
You recognize them?
No, but they told me all this because they have all these dogs out on their table, these pictures, and they're trading information about what dogs they're going to breed and they're going to buy. And I'm like, hey, this is the weirdest thing. My wife and I are looking for. My girlfriend and I are at the time were looking for English bulldogs. She goes, here's my card. We breed them. And on the back of her card, I turn it over, and one side it's about her breeding company, and on the other side it's Keller Williams Real Estate. And I said, tell me about this. And she goes, hey, and we have a conversation while I'm waiting tables. She goes, there's an office right up the street. My office is 5 blocks from my restaurant where I've been since day one. You need to go over there, talk to the team leader, and they'll tell you what to do. Went there after work.
Okay.
They gave me the instructions. Go take this course. Take this class. This is how much
So
it
you
costs.
just followed the.
This is my ticket. This is my ticket out.
So this is what you thought,
This is my ticket. I don't care what it is. I'm going to do it,
right?
and I'm going to do it. I got to get out of here. I've got nothing to fall back on.
Folks, I can't wait till you hear what the stardom that this gentleman has done, and only within a short amount of time. I mean, we were only in 15 minutes in the interview. I'm already like my jaw's dropped, but we haven't even talked about your success yet.
Yeah,
so,
no.
I mean,
So,
and what is success? Because you're just now starting.
And to mix all into this, I'm moving so fast, and there's so many pieces that I went through. My dad had an unexpected death. He had a heart attack back in 2005. So when you have all this addiction, all this drug stuff, my family, we lost our home that we were born in. He passed away, and my mom and dad were in the middle of a divorce. So to kind of give you some context, my mom and dad hated each other, going through a divorce. They've been married their whole life. This is my family, and he passed away from a heart attack unexpectedly. So my mom, the divorce hadn't settled, so my mom got everything, the house and the money and everything. She burnt through that in about 3 years, every last penny. Sold the house. She's off dating other people, which made my brother and I just furious. And
that's your mom.
Yeah, my brother then is a recovered cocaine addict, and so
I saw that he works for you now.
He works for me as a buyer's agent. Cool. And he was the number one in the state last year, his second year in.
Good. Okay. Congratulations.
So thank you. And so he went that direction, which put me into more drinking. And so all of that had a really big impact on kind of where I was while this was going on. I mean, I didn't have a family. It felt like we lost our house. I was angry, and I was just, all I did was just drown it in alcohol and drugs. And so that's kind of where I was at. When I say I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, that had a lot to do with this. I was like, I've got to do something here.
The bottom.
Right. And so this was a couple years later. I mean, it's 2005 when my dad passed away, 2008 when I got my real estate license. So, I mean, I was going down a fast, slippery hill with the drugs and the alcohol.
Sure, you could have died.
Yeah. And so, it was just, I had a.
Well, I guess you didn't know what to live for.
Yeah.
I mean,
when you hit the bottom of the swimming pool, you push back up.
So when you, it's interesting that you just chose real estate and school the English Bulldog. Did you ever buy an English Bulldog?
No, we didn't. We still have two white Westies that we've had for 13 years.
So you rolled over to this real estate office. You're probably like greener than green. You probably never even thought about a property.
Never bought a house. Never had a credit card. Or I did. I had a credit card that I had maxed out whenever I was like 16 years. As soon as you're old enough to get a credit card, 18 or whatever. So didn't have credit. Never bought a house. Never bought a car. Everything I did was cash at that time. So I never financed anything in my life. Didn't own a house.
Now you're going to advise people. This is so cool.
Right. Had no experience. I tell people this honestly. I don't know how I got my first year in real estate. I didn't understand what an appraisal was, and I actually sold about 30 homes. And they're like, "Hey, we're getting the appraisal done." I'm like, "Okay." If anything's wrong with it, let me know.
Or PMI, all these things that you probably had no idea. So,
winged it.
So you rolled up in this deal. They said, "Hey, you got to take a test." And it's not that easy. I mean, I went to real estate school, and it's not too difficult, but it's not easy. Okay,
for me, it was difficult. Keep in mind, I
dropped out of school.
High school.
Did you have to have a GED?
No.
Cool.
No.
So that's even cooler.
As long as I looked it up. As long as you're over the age of 18 and you're not a convicted felon, you can get a real estate license in Oklahoma.
I know it.
Yeah, I got through.
Like you slid all in.
Yeah.
Okay, so you get your license. So you're just on fire. Like you have pride now. Like you have a vision, a goal.
Yeah, and kind of show you, how I was back then. I to celebrate, it was like on a Wednesday. I got my license the first time I took it, which I was blown away.
Which is rare, folks, because I didn't pass it.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't get my license.
Put some context where my life was and what I was doing at that time. I went to Pearls by the Lake restaurant over here in Oklahoma City, and I meet my mom and my brother there, and we're celebrating, and I rack up about a $300 liquor tab. And I missed work the next day at the sushi restaurant because I partied too hard because I was celebrating. So my mind wasn't right.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm in it. I'm pumped. I'm jacked up. But it's not cupcakes and donuts. It was, I was still acting an idiot. I'm still doing stupid stuff. You'd think I'd smarten up, but I'm not.
I mean,
yeah.
I guess pain or pleasure. Anthony Robbins, you ever study him at all? Tony Robbins?
We employ him for our coaching. We have 3 coaches on our team, and we use his company as
a
coaching
service.
Yep.
Okay, so you grind it out. Did you have any goals? Did you want to duplicate your income?
Yeah.
Do you even know what you were making as a server? I mean, I used to be a server at Red Lobster. That's the only reason why I know that, because I was trying to score for 100 a day.
Yeah.
When I would work.
So first year, waiting tables, you could make about 25, 30, which was actually pretty good for a server, and it's all cash. So it was pretty good. So first year in real estate, we sold, I don't know the exact number, but it was a little bit under 100,000 first year. So life-changing amount of money for me.
So that's what your took home gross amount minus your expenses.
So I did both. So what I did was first year in real estate, I worked from 5 o'clock in the evening until about midnight waiting tables. And then I worked from 8 in the morning until about 4 doing real estate for a whole year.
24, 25 now?
No, I was, that was my first year in real estate. That was 08. So,
well, 23 is when you,
yeah.
So 25,
yeah,
somewhere around there. Okay, so how in the world did you get to this stardom? I mean, your volume. Tell me your volume now. Today's 2017.
So last year we closed 171 units, and we were just over 40 million in volume. So that was just a hair under $1 million in commissions.
Okay, and then you're the third real estate agent or group,
for Keller
right?
Williams. But if you we look at the whole state. So if you look at all the state, the entire MLS for realtors who sell real estate,
Tulsa too, right?
Yeah, you're looking at number 6.
So your organization, you're the head guy, like CEO, and you got like closers, acquisition people.
We have less than 10 people.
So you have 10 people, less than 10 people in your team, and you guys are number what in the state? You said 6 in the state, and you've done over $40 million
last year.
Have you ever added all of that up since your 9 years of tenure?
That would be interesting. But
come on, man. We need to get to the $1 billion
$1
billion
stage.
Would be
come
nice.
on, man.
Yeah. Like, 40 million's cool. I mean, for someone, on an average, I mean, these statistics. So these people don't know this because they know I'm not a big fan of realtors.
Okay.
But let's go into basic statistics.
Okay. I love these.
Of that, what's the average transaction for a real estate agent?
So to kind of even give you even more information. So most so in a year, Keller Williams, or most companies, they measure you on your volume, how much you sell. The average real estate agent in Oklahoma does not sell more than 2 million in an entire year worth of homes. You're probably looking at between 8 and 10 homes or less.
And the medium is 150.
Right. So very, very, very few
That's
homes.
10 to 12. And I heard an average is 1 a month, 12 if they're somewhat serious.
Right.
And we call those Avon realtors.
Yes.
They're just fooling around, driving around with their Avon on the back.
90% are part-time. So you're going to be getting, 8 to 9% are full-time and 1% have a group or a team of multiple agents. So,
okay, so there might be some realtor out there listening to this deal. You mentioned the word team. How does that come in play? I mean, most of these people are independent, one person. They do all the transactions. What inspired you to share the wealth per se? Because you're paying these people.
Yeah.
And how do you assemble a team? And what advice would you give to another realtor? It's like, hey man, I want to take this serious. I wanted to be the $20 million to $40 million producer. So
a couple of things happen. One is I want to look at why I did this. So my first year, I was a second year in real estate. Now I'm doing it full time, and they had a scholarship program where they would actually the top 2 kind of rookie of the year kind of thing. They would pay for your trip to what's called family reunion. It's it's
Austin or Texas or something.
Yeah, it's a 5-day real estate conference that Keller Williams puts on, and it's just education. And you get to see the best agents from all over the country. About 8,000 agents show up at that time. Last year, almost 12,000 agents.
So this is like a goal. So your goal to be the very best agent, you get a free pass.
Yeah.
To this
I didn't know. They gave it to me.
And so you're just grinding it out. Like, I got to prove myself.
Yeah, so I'm just grinding it, and all of a sudden they're like, hey, you're a new agent. We think you would benefit from this course, this class. We'd like to offer you this trip to New Orleans to go to this real estate convention for 5 days. And I go down there, and I'm seeing agents closing 2,000 transactions in a year, making 500 million in sales.
So this is your second year?
Yeah. So I'm going to this convention, and I'm seeing these heavy hitters from all over the world. I'm just like, I had no idea this was even possible, and they got teams, and my mind's like, it's like I
want that.
Yeah,
I want
no idea what I was getting into.
want that.
So when I see all this, I say, okay, how do I do this? And they say, well, we've got books, and we have plans, and we've got mentors, and we have coaching, and like we have a plan to take you there. You just have to follow this map. And so I'm just like, I'm in. So at that point, I made up my mind. I'm gonna do more units in volume than anybody in Oklahoma, and then I'm gonna go to the next level, and we're gonna expand. We're gonna grow.
So you're committed.
Yeah, and
so you just went all in.
Write the check, and you can cash it. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of time.
So that was only 2 years into your career.
Yep. From there, it was just let's figure out how.
And
to
then
do
just keep building in one block onto another block. We need this person. We need this person.
Correct. first you get your assistant, then you get your buyer's agents, then you get your transaction coordinator. And I had failure after failure after failure. Never hired anybody. I was a realtor. I didn't own a business. There's a big difference.
Details.
Yeah. How to coach, how to train. Do you have a manual? Do you have some sort of recruiting process? Where do you find talent? How do you recruit talent? How do you keep talent? Talented people aren't going to be with your organization unless you get your stuff together.
Wow.
You're going to lose. Talented people will leave your organization if you don't give them a place that they need to come back to. They leave every night at 5 o'clock. They don't have to come back at 8 a.m. unless you provide an opportunity and a place they want to come back to. I didn't sink in until about 2 years ago.
Cool.
That idea.
So you're like CEO now.
Yeah, now. Yeah, so
kind
now
of. I mean, just like it's
I work
similar
with listings.
experience.
Yeah, I work with listings and I build the team.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have that right mindset. If you won't, you'll lose all that.
Right.
But you fell into it. I think you fell into it by grit and hard work and to prove yourself. Have you hit the goals that you've wanted to? Are you where you are right now where you wanted to be? Or is this something that's like, I know this is an elusive question, but
yeah,
is this like where I'm at? I'm kind of like, wow, I can't believe I've gotten this far. Are you at that stage? Are you still like, man, this is just the beginning?
Well, there's two things I want to look at. It's always good to kind of look down the ladder, see how far you've climbed this ladder. And so it's kind of good to kind of get where you're at and smell it and be like, hey, this is great. Look what we've done. Look what we've accomplished. I think there's importance to that, to have some celebration, especially when you have a team. It's very important for those people to be celebrated on small accomplishments. Even if you're the owner and you're not satisfied with where you're at, the people around you, they need to be celebrated.
They need that.
Right. So you got to stop.
Love and feeling.
And you got to do it often, and you've got to do it in a very strategic way. So lots of celebrations, whatever the team likes. We do a lot of dinners. We do a lot of client or customer or employee appreciation, where they bring their family and their pets and dogs. We all get together. So cool. A lot of things to really celebrate their success more than
appreciate what they're doing.
Right,
because their success is based on your success, or vice versa. Their success is based on you. I mean, for you.
Yes.
So you're the result.
Yeah. So there's kind of this twofold question. Yes, it's good to kind of stop, smell the roses, say, okay, great. But when I worked at Sushi Nico, they had this thing that was called Kaizen. It's Japanese for constant improvement, always moving forward, so on.
Oh, a little bit every day.
Right. So I've been once I get, I'm year 2 or 3 in, I'm now investing in performance coaches. I'm now having some paid accountability where I can't do anything but move forward. That was a huge step for me. Now we employ 3 different types of coaches with our team. We do Tony Robbins, which is, kind of a life performance coach. I look at him as about 80% mental, 20% mechanical. We use MAPS coaching, is Mega Agent Productivity Systems. That is a Keller Williams product. That is probably 80% mechanical, 20% mental. So kind of you get 2 big differences between the Tony Robbins and the MAPS coaching. The third one is
well-rounded, I guess.
Yeah, the third one is a company. It's a very small coaching and consulting company called Ontacore. They're not known except for word of mouth. That's the only way you'll kind of know who they are. And they are 100% mental and leadership for growing in a business. We're the smallest company, as far as I know, that they coach. They are usually coaching Fortune 500 companies, big top-down places that have 700,000, several thousand employees, and they're working with the CEOs and the teams. And they're high end people up there. So
sure,
we've kind of jumped up to that kind of coaching.
Let's go into where's this going? Do you have big goals? You didn't say you were a broker. That's usually a typical thing for real estate. I want to get my broker's license.
Right.
Where's this going for you? How big do you want to take this? Statewide?
Yeah.
Brokerage.
So right now I don't have any. I don't have any goals to be an independent broker. I don't.
Well, you have a support around you.
Yeah, I have the support around me, and Keller Williams provides us with a model for what we call expansion. And so what that means is I can use all of the current and existing Keller Williams offices around the entire world to go and build remote teams there.
Cool. So you can
with
have
no overhead.
little bit Boones everywhere.
Yeah. No, that's the idea. That's the new real estate model. When it comes to expansion, because
teams.
Yeah. So what's happening is you're finding teams all over the country who are they're capping out in their city. There's only so much market share you can get before you need to move to the next city. So instead of being an independent broker and going out and buying these commercial buildings or leases and buying the furniture and all this stuff, the cost, why not just piggyback on another Keller Williams, move your license over there for have multiple licenses in multiple states and different locations, or just move to the next city And you've already built a team that dominates that market. So all you do is you're just reproducing that same thing in a different city.
What works.
Right. And your overhead's much less. Well, Keller Williams provides that opportunity. That's why going and setting up brokerages all over the place where I'm the one person. I've got staff in these places. They have front desk people. They've got the cleaning crews, all the little stuff people don't think about. The internet, the Wi-Fi, toilet paper, all that stuff.
People don't know.
Yeah. All that stuff's taken care of because they already have a well-ran system and organization.
So you can focus on what you're good at, and that could be recruiting, that could be prospecting, listing, selling.
Leads, listings, and leverage. That's
Leads,
the three.
listing,
the three L's.
Like okay. All right, we're about 30. We're in 30 minutes, and it's been fascinating. So I truly, we got to get into very rare people that I know of that own a Lamborghini.
Right.
Tell me about this car. Why'd you buy it? How long has it been a goal and a dream and a vision?
Sure.
And then we talked off camera or off whatever earlier about it. So tell me, why a Lamborghini?
Sure. So a couple of things. One, it was as a kid, I have pictures of my brother's room. We had the wall from floor to ceiling with Car and Driver magazine. We would cut out all the cool cars and we would staple them to the wall. And
hopefully you weren't my tenant.
No, it was horrible. It was the house we grew up in. And so they were from floor to ceiling, an entire wall of every exotic car you could imagine. I mean, the stuff that's just untouchable, $1 million cars, stuff that's, one-off production kind of crazy stuff. And of course, Lamborghinis all the way up there, Ferraris, the staples, the big names. And that's kind of where it started. So when we were 16 years old, the first car I had was a Pontiac Trans Am. I still have it. It's in the storage unit downtown. And my brother's first car was a Mustang Cobra. And we used to go to the drag strip with my dad, and we would drag race down there. So I was in racing when I was a kid. And so that's where my street racing and wrecks and, the drinking and the driving, all that stuff was all,
Fast and the Furious.
Yes. Well, I mean, we were...
Like you're living the movie.
We were highly modifying these cars and making lots of power. We were doing street racing. We were doing stuff for money. And we were doing that lifestyle. And so racing and going fast has always been something that's been real close to me. And so when I was, in this low part, when my dad passed away and drinking, the car stuff went away. That wasn't important. So what was important to me.
Plus it's expensive.
Very expensive. So then, I'm just driving, this little 4-door Infiniti, and you get you around. And I just kind of got out of the car scene and just got rid of it. So fast forward, a couple of years later, you're in real estate, you're making some money, you got your system set up, you got your team going, and now let's enjoy some of this. Because at this point, I haven't really stopped to even really enjoy stuff. All the money's going right back into the business to grow.
To build it.
Yeah. And so...
how'd you get the whim?
It wasn't a whim. So the other thing that happened when I stopped drinking, 2.5 years ago, I've been completely sober since then. I changed my circle. Who you're
influence.
Who you're around. So I have a friend I grew up with who owns a landscaping company, and one of his good friends that he met owns a technology company. And these people are my age and younger, and they're multimillionaires. And I've said, okay, what's going on here? Well, they're all sober, and I chose to be sober, so I'm going to hang out with these guys.
That's right.
And so that was the first. And these people had several Lamborghinis, several Ferraris, several Range Rovers, several Ford GTs. They had, a garage space where they would, have 5-6, garage spaces just at their house. And then they'd have a warehouse full of cars and stuff like that. And they would have, some of the wildest cars on planet Earth in their 30.
Wow.
And so I was like, okay, what are these guys doing? Okay, so that's what the question asks.
How can I get in this team?
Yeah, how is this even possible? What kind of financing out there? What does it cost? I don't do people buy these cash. Where do you buy a car? So I started researching, and when you research, you set your mind to something. I said, hey, I'm going to do this, and so I'm around it now. So I'm kind of in that. I'm in it. I see it, and my friends have it. And so I say, okay, let's really start looking. So I find out how much, my down payment I need, my monthly payment I'm comfortable with, all that stuff. You just research it.
Just like a house.
Yeah. Then once everything's locked and loaded, once you're pre-approved and you're good, let's go shop. And so we shopped, and I found a black 05 Lamborghini Gallardo, and it already had a lot of fun stuff put onto it, made it loud and fast. And I had it delivered from Maryland, and I've had it for 2 years. And so to kind of give you an example, you buy a Lamborghini, these cars might have 10 to 12,000 miles on it, and that's considered high mileage, crazy high mileage for a 10, 12, 15-year-old car, okay? I put 35,000 miles on this car in 2 years. I almost daily drove it. I had another car, a BMW, as a daily driver, but when I got this car, I drove it. That's how happy I was. That's how proud. That's how,
you should.
Bust my butt for this thing. I'm going to drive it.
When I was creeping on your website and I saw the cars black with the yellow, with the
lime green calipers.
Yeah, I was just like, this thing is amazing. And then I'm like, this guy, I know he doesn't seem like that guy. But I was like, this is also a marketing thing.
Yes.
Too. And I thought that was very ingenious. That let's talk about that. You took this car, your dream, 35,000 miles on a freaking.
That's how many miles I put
know.
on it.
Well, yeah. We got that. We added it up there, buddy. Chill out. So you get this car, and then you get together and do this coffee thing, and it's like huge for you as a marketing piece.
Right. So a couple of things happen whenever you buy a Lamborghini. The first thing that happens is everybody treats you completely differently, and I'm talking stoplights when you're driving down the highway. Cameras everywhere. I mean, it's a very weird feeling if you're not used to it, and if you're kind of a shyer person, you don't like all the attention. The car gets more attention than you want. So when you get in that car, you better be ready for it. Ready for that kind of, hey, this is about to happen, and there's nothing I can do about it. And embrace it, have fun. So if you're in a good mood and you're having a good time, it's an opportunity to meet a lot of people. So every time you get gas, every time you go to a grocery store, kids jumping out. What is this? So it was an opportunity. I started handing my card out. And just if you're in a good mood and you're talking with everybody.
What do you do for a living?
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. They see they're expecting some old guy to get out. And they see,
you would love this book. I'm telling you, Millionaire Fastlane, MJ DeMarco. Yeah. He talks about this.
Yep.
He bought a Lamborghini, man. You got. I mean, it's a pretty interesting story. Keep going.
Changed his life. So I get connected with a guy at the gym, and he owns a financial wealth advisor company, and he has this car show. It's called Coffee and Cars. It's a national event, and every city has their own chapter, is what they call it. So he started it. They're a year in, and they're at this little parking lot, and they have a Starbucks in that parking lot. And they provide all the coffee and the donuts and the food, and then you have the event. And the idea is they're capturing leads and connecting with the people. And they get to about 300 people before we get the boot, because the shopping center businesses started opening up, and they said, you got to get out of here.
Taking over.
Yeah, you're taking over. So we found a new location, and it was a place called North Park Mall. And so it's a huge parking lot. It'll hold about a couple thousand cars, a little over 2,000 cars. And we moved over there 4 years ago. And what happened was I got involved with it a year after it was born, because there was no coffee, no donuts. There wasn't a Starbucks there. You're in this giant parking lot. And so I went with my friend, and I said, hey, I'll provide the coffee and the donuts. Do you think that'd be, but I want it exclusive. It's just you and me. There's nobody else, and that's our agreement. And
savvy. We've
been locked in since then. And so we provide 40 gallons of coffee, 40 dozen donuts that get delivered there. We have a big 10 by 10 tent. It's branded with all my information.
Savvy, man.
We do giveaways, prizes. We partner with BMW.
I saw the pictures.
Yeah.
And your car's parked right next to it?
Right next to it. So the car's there. Whose car is this? It's the real estate agent. Okay, let's talk cars. And it's just this.
You should make T-shirts.
It's a tornado. We have our own T-shirts. We don't give them out, but we did at one point. And so... yeah, that it was a whirlwind. So you go to this Coffee and Cars, and we did a demographic check on the people that were out there, and we found that the average person that came out there was a 55-year-old aged male with 5 times the average income of Oklahoma. So you're talking about some of the wealthiest people.
That's the customer you want.
Yeah. And when they have these cars, they need more than a 2 or 3 car garage. They need a 5, 6 car garage.
Which the commissions are great.
What kind of houses? Yeah, I'm gonna have 5, 6 car garage. Yeah,
you could sell one of those with the same effort and energy of a $30,000 house.
Same paperwork, and oftentimes the $30,000 is a lot more headache.
Yeah, because they're just wishy-washy.
Yep.
Dude, it's a great story, man. I can't wait to have you back on in a year or two just to see your team double and grow. Appreciate you giving back to the community on that Coffee and Cars. I mean, that's a good thing. It's a free event to come. And when is it, and how often is it?
So it's the first Saturday of every month. That's the way. So there's not a date. It's just the first Saturday of every month. Every single month. It does not stop. Rain, snow. We've had 1 year that we canceled, and it was when we had the state of emergency for the snow storm that never happened a couple months ago. Other than that, it is every single month, regardless of.
And how many show cars?
So now we have a little over 2,000 cars show up.
Wow, 2,000 show cars?
Yep. So we have 4,000 people that show up. We have 2 police officers. We actually have to pull a permit for the city to run a show like this. So it's an actual, not just like a little.
Congratulations.
It's not a hangout. It's the biggest car show in Oklahoma that happens on a regular basis.
What time does it start?
8 a.m. Technically. We get out there at 6.
Because you got to park these cars.
Yep. So we get out there at 6. There will probably be, we get out there at 6, and there's probably already about 200 cars there.
Just the orchestration of parking cars has got to be a nightmare.
They get the gist of it. We've been doing it long enough, and it's the same crowd. You get some new people, and
follow the leader.
Yeah. So they organize it.
All right, man. Well, it's been a pleasure. Of course, I'm all about helping people. So how do people get a hold of you? Maybe someone that had struggled with addiction, but or a real estate agent that needs to jump on a good team, or they got to sell or buy a house. How do we get a hold of you?
Number one way is I'm a big fan of giving out my cell. It's area code 405-818-0773. That is.
I don't even have your cell. You called me on Facebook.
Yeah, I didn't have your number, so I was like, hey, how do I connect with this guy? I was Facebook dial him.
And I gave him the wrong address. What a dip. But anyway,
Yeah.
I'm so glad you made it, man. It's been a wonderful interview, and just keep crushing it.
Yeah, I love it.
All right, man.
Thank you.
Bye.
Investor Weekend is not far off, with over 10 information sessions to increase your portfolio. Log on to www.investorweekend.com. Whether you are a seasoned investor or never purchased a property before, you don't want to miss the Investor Weekend. Join us for a powerful, knowledge-packed weekend with over 10 informational sessions that are bound to enlarge your real estate investments. You will hear from the best national and local real estate investors that will share practical and relevant experiences with you, the investor. There will be several networking sessions to connect with other like-minded people for potential funding, partnerships, and yes, hot deals. Go to www.investorweekend.com. Did you know we meet once a month for the Landlord Lunch Meeting? The third Wednesday of every month. Go to landlordlunch.com.
Thanks for listening to the Savvy Radio Show. Glide online and listen to our other motivating episodes at savvyradioshow.com. Connect on Twitter at LandlordBook and always be buying assets.